Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Gina Watts, and co-hosting with me is my friend and yours, Andrew McPeak.
I have a lot of friends, so you're very correct about that.
You do. And I count it a blessing to call you mine. If you believe that school should be more than just essays and GPAs, if you believe that EQs are as important as IQs, if you expect amazing things from the next generation, then you are in the right place, because we believe that too.
Absolutely. It's so good to be among people who have a common belief.
Hey.
So good.
All right. So to kick things off this week, we, of course, have our opening question.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yep. Let's do it.
Okay. What's a tech innovation that you think is underrated? Go.
Okay. I'm only going to call this underrated, not because we don't love it, but because we've forgotten that it exists and we just assume it.
Sure.
But y'all,
Sure.
2-day shipping.
I wish that you guys were in here and that we filmed this, because the confidence by which this man just delivered that.
Yeah. And I know I named a thing that people just do every day.
Exactly.
But we just forget. I mean, It was not that long ago that you would order something and be like, I hope it's here next week.
No, seriously.
You know?
Yeah.
And the convenience of being able to go, I need something on Monday and it's Saturday and I can just push order and I'll probably have it before I need it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I live in Atlanta. This is probably happening where you live too, in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of times it's same day shipping.
Yeah.
Or
Straight
1 day
up.
shipping.
Straight up.
And pretty soon it'll be drone shipping, you know? But just this idea of the physical materials that we need to do work and life can get to us faster than ever.
Yes. So fast.
Yeah.
And then we're annoyed
when it doesn't
when it takes longer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the dark side of 2-day shipping. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that's
because
good.
I do a lot of history and all of that, and just like how hard people's lives were not that long ago compared to ours. We're really lucky to have 2-day shipping. That's all I'm going to say. All right, Gina.
Okay. So I don't know if it's underrated. Maybe it's kind of like 2-day shipping. It's like an expectation we have that we don't realize that we just live in this expectation now. But I feel like communication apps for, I'm going to stick to childcare, but here's the thing. I feel like it can create problems because parents want constant access, constant information. And I want to remind people that the educators are taking care of your children.
Yeah.
So if they're constantly talking to you, they can't do that well. Okay?
And you're saying this as a mom.
I'm saying this as a mom because I've been a mom more than I've been an educator.
Yeah.
However, I think when it's used well and it's used appropriately, I think that communication apps for classrooms or for, childcare has really, when used well, has built bridges between educators and families.
Yeah.
And I think that it's often underrated because it's just expected.
Yeah.
It's just expected that we have this, that, oh my God, you don't, like, how do you use it? What do you, like, it's one of the first questions people ask when they go on a tour of a childcare center or of a school.
How do you stay in touch with
Exactly.
me? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's often abused, but I think when it's used well, it's definitely underrated and pretty dope.
You're not just handing off your child to some adult that you really don't know, but you're actually involved in the experience and you see them as a human being, maybe.
But
least, hopefully.
I do miss the days, though, of like the high value on parent-teacher conferences and PTO engagement and all of that stuff, the people experience.
Yeah, so those things are lower value because there's constant engagement already happening. Yeah, that's good.
Ooh, I did a little smart one today.
Yeah, look at you go. Look at you go.
Well, I'm looking forward to our episode today as
too.
we unpack how to revolutionize personalized learning to boost student success with our special guest, Maisha Wilder.
I am Maisha, everyone, and a few things about me is that I love to have fun, I love to entertain others, and I enjoy making people laugh. So I kind of live up to the stereotype of what a youngest child is, so kind of like that youngest child syndrome. So I took my youngest child attributes and became a K-12 school counselor, where I have the ability to create lessons about social and emotional learning And then I transitioned to higher education as a college professor. I teach a course called Student Life Skills. So how fun is that? And in that course, I specifically focus on students who plan to transfer to the university after they have earned their associate's degree. So when it comes to the transition and the transformation of technology in the personalized learning of education, what I found comes as a result of course, we know COVID that happened in 2020. So I was pregnant at the time, Andrew, and I was partly excited about transitioning to online learning because I no longer had to run to a printer or stand in front of a copy machine. All the things that I did from that point on was in front of a computer and me creating lessons to introduce to children. So I love the convenience of technology, and that's the real transformation that I am seeing in the classroom. That one is very convenient, and two, that it allows us to recreate the classroom. Before we kind of delve into more of the topic of technology in the classroom, it's just really honing in on the idea that technology is an accessory and not necessarily the source and not the focal point. I think a lot of times educators have removed students as the central focus, and they're teaching with technology, and technology is driving instruction. And we as the student and the teacher, we're still driving. We're just looking in the passenger seat for, hey, how can I use technology to turn left, to turn right, to stop, to slow down? So I kind of really want everyone to understand the importance of technology as an accessory, a prop, a costume.
You know, Andrew, I really resonate with the point about technology being a tool rather than a focal point of education.
Yeah.
It's so easy for educators to get wrapped up in the latest, tech trends and forget the primary goal is to engage students and enhance their learning experience.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, Gina. Yeah, it's a common pitfall that we all fall into. We see these shiny new tools, and it's tempting to just drive right in. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that technology is just a means to an end. It should support our teaching methods, not dictate them.
Exactly. I love the analogy of technology as a costume.
Yeah.
It's there to enhance the play, not to overshadow the actors.
Yeah,
snap,
so
snap,
good,
snap,
so
snap,
good,
snap.
so good.
Speaking of tools, let's hear about specific tools that we can use to tailor learning experiences to individual students' needs.
I use several tools, but I really leverage the basic ones and the favorites, in my opinion, which are Google Classroom. I use Google for everything. Nearpod, which I love for the elementary level students that I've worked with. Flipgrid. And Canvas. I use that in my college classroom. So with those particular platforms, I found that using the very generic ones and the popular ones are easier for students to understand because technology is changing every second, every minute. A new iPhone comes out every quarter. So I like to kind of lay a foundation of the more established technology tools because it's easier for the students to use them. I know sometimes educators assume that Gen Zs or the younger children are tech savvy, but they really aren't. They just really know how to scroll, and that's not being tech savvy. So I use the very much more established and technology tools that have been around a little bit longer. And also, I use the tools to give the students space to bring their imagination to the forefront. And so what I mean by that is students often feel, they look at technology like, oh, I can't do this. I see this awesome video. I don't know how to create that. So I introduce to them tools that help them break down their level of understanding. So let's start from the very bottom and work our way up to the point where we are a tech guru, if you will. And so my elementary students love that. And one example is when I would call them up to the smart board. And when I would say to you, let's say you were in my class, Andrew, you're going to come up, you're going to touch the screen, and you would touch the screen and a sound would be made or the image would get larger. It was as if you had a magic wand in your pointer finger when that happened. So understanding that technology is still guided by the human. You are just using it to manipulate something and make something come to life.
Gina, that is such a brilliant point. It really highlights the magic of education to me. Those moments when a student finally grasps this concept. It's like solving a math problem for the first time and they say, I did it, like they can't believe it as much as you can. And capturing that excitement in so many ways with the use of technology. I think it's great. I appreciate her sharing these specific tools. They're great examples that educators are using to enhance their teaching.
It is essential to have these foundational tools in our toolkit. By sticking to those tried and true platforms, we ensure that both students and teachers can engage effectively without getting lost in all the rapid tech changes.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a big question. Here's a big question that comes to my mind as we embrace these technologies like Canvas and Flipgrid and even those AI tools, right? Everybody's talking about. How do we find the right balance? I love using resources like this, but they can also become distractions, right, if you're not careful. Striking that balance between integrating technology and maintaining those traditional teaching methods seems like a crucial part of a well-rounded educational experience for students. And Maisha, who is a delight, by the way, isn't she? I just love this analogy that she gave us.
The analogy that comes to mind, and I've used this analogy in my college classrooms and with a department that deals with academic dishonesty. I did a presentation, and the analogy I used was that of safety features in a vehicle. So when using technology to enhance the educational platform and learning environment, we must first understand the importance of the safety around it. And so the approach that I typically take in introducing technology and the balance of it is first understanding that when you get in a car, before you grab the keys and want to drive for a distance, short or long, the first thing we recommend is what, Andrew? When you get in the car, what's the first thing you should do? Put your seatbelt on. You want to be sure that that particular safety feature is there and that before you press send, before you upload any video, you have to ask yourself, is this the safe thing to do? Am I protecting myself and those in the car with me and the other drivers? So the other people that will interact with the technology that I'm sending. I use scenarios with my students called digital dilemmas. So I introduce to them scenarios about offenses that have been made in the cyber world, whether it be cyberbullying or an email was sent or a picture was taken. And I ask my students, how should this be dealt with? What do you think the ramifications of this would be? So the balance of that is helping them understand technology is very vast, but it also comes with the proper use of it. And so I think once we really hone in on emphasizing the safety of it and how to use it properly, the students are going to use it better and be more careful with it. It's like things that are not technology based. I remember when they passed out the textbooks, my teachers were like, don't write in it, don't draw in it, you can't do this to it. It's the same with technology. It's just, again, another tool that we have to be a great steward over so that we don't diminish the value in it. I wouldn't use a book that had a lot of pages torn out, and it's just like a computer. I'm not going to use it if somebody's been using it to their disadvantage. So I think that is where we should really focus and help students understand.
Oh, I completely agree. Emphasizing the responsible use of technology is essential. It's all about teaching students to be good stewards of these tools, just like we were told to take care of our textbooks back in the day. Pause.
Yeah.
Do you remember making book covers?
Hundo P.
And using like brown paper bags, like you had to tell your parents, like, I need you to get brown paper bags when we go to the store because I need to use that to cover my textbooks.
In the early 2000s,
that was a long time ago.
We were still doing brown paper bags.
Hey.
But we also, the rich kids got the elastic covers that they put over that.
Say it. I never had that.
Yeah.
I was so jealous.
That started to be a thing when I was,
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay, sorry.
Tangent. Major tangent. But you're exactly right. Maisha's killing it here. And I just love this idea. It's like you're encouraging students to think about their digital footprints.
Mm-hmm.
My elementary students, I tell them that when you are on the computer, I want you to pretend that your parent is watching this, or you're somebody that you consider a superhero. So if that person were to watch or see what you've posted, would they want to wear this as a badge? Would they want to tell your friends what you've done? And they would say to me, Miss Wilder, no, I probably shouldn't say that about this student, or I probably shouldn't post this because this is something Spider-Man wouldn't do. I haven't seen Spider-Man do this, or my coach wouldn't like that or wouldn't approve of that. My parent, my caregiver. And for example, my college students, I asked them, hey, before you post this, will you put this on the front page of a notebook, or would you print this out and pass it around? Because sometimes we hide behind technology as if, me typing a message, I'm really not there. When in actuality, if you're the one typing it, it's going to come back to you. So I really help my students understand you are still guiding the technology, and will that be a great reflection of you? And it may cost you something. Are you willing to pay the price for what you're getting ready to post? So that really helps them understand that.
I love the analogy that she used with her elementary students about imagining their superhero watching over them, right? It really drives home this importance of considering what they post all the time.
It really does. I mean, some of us adults need a superhero.
We might need that too.
Looking over us. Yeah. But that perspective makes them even more mindful of their actions online.
Yeah. And of course, that's the point, right? The idea of making college students reflect on whether they'd want their posts printed out and showcased. It's very powerful. It's a good reminder. It brings a real world connection to their online behavior.
Exactly. And it's important to remind them that their actions online still reflect like who they are. You're not two different people.
Yes.
Like you should be the same person.
Yes.
Yeah.
It brings to mind a metaphor I think of sometimes, like when financial experts are giving advice about proper use of money, they will suggest that you use cash rather than a credit card, right? Because when you hand over that $10 bill, as opposed to just swiping the same card over and over, it feels like a tangible loss, right? So similarly, when we post digitally, we don't consider the implications of what we're sharing because it's all in this digital ecosphere. And it's easy to forget about the practical concerns like internet access, personal circumstances, how our words might be affecting other people. So when we make it more tangible with these metaphors and these ideas, we affect the way that students engage with the technology.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, everyone is going to engage differently based on accessibility and digital equity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so this is something that can lead to concerns from our educators. Maisha had some wonderful insight on how to address those concerns and providing an inclusive tech-savvy classroom.
Where I would typically start is first identifying and really accepting that I don't know everything about technology. And so when there's something that I am hoping to introduce in the classroom, I usually learn it a long time before I introduce it. And so what that looks like is asking someone on campus. I believe most college and school systems and school buildings have a tech support department. So relying on experts to help you understand the features and how to use the microphone and how to use certain buttons and what buttons to avoid. And so really understanding that I need support. And if I, the professional, need the support, imagine a first grader, imagine a 12th grader, imagine someone that has an impairment. So really, the use of technology is not a one person has to do it all and they are handing it over to the other person. That means speaking to a 504 coordinator. That may mean speaking to a translator. It's a community effort when we're talking about infusing technology in the classroom. It is not a go to the shelf, get a computer off the shelf, and you plop it in front of a desk. It doesn't really work like that. What I would suggest to those who are listening is that technology is a form of communication. And there's an activity, Andrew, that I do in my classroom, my college classes, when I talk about effective communication, and I select 3 students, and I have them stand in front of the class, and I have them share with the class how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All right. Oh, professor, I got this. So usually the students say, you get 2 slices of bread, you get your peanut butter, your jelly, and they go throughout the steps. And so in one particular class, I had one student of those 3. They asked this question or this statement and said, raise your hand if you never made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. 2 students raised their hand. One was a student with a peanut allergy. The other student was an international student. They were like, in my country, we don't eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So once that student knew the information and assessed the audience, their directions on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich was much different. It was, okay, this is the stores you get the bread from. This is how you hold the knife when you spread the jelly and the peanut butter on the bread. So it's the same approach with technology. Before we introduce something, we must assess the audience, because some students may have never used a computer, don't have access to it. So assessing our students' knowledge is what will really help us. So instead of starting where my knowledge is, I should start where the learner's knowledge is, in providing equity and balance and inclusion while integrating technology. What do you know? What haven't you been introduced to in the forms of technology? So starting there really helps to provide an inclusive, technologically savvy classroom.
This is so great. I really love that peanut butter and jelly sandwich analogy. She's got metaphors for days, man. It's a fantastic reminder of the importance of not making assumptions. Just like Maisha mentioned earlier, the biggest hurdle to adapting to a new technology can be the very assumptions we hold about our students, about their expectations, and the knowledge that they're bringing with them into the classroom.
Yeah, it's like checking that bias. It's so easy to think that all students are tech savvy, but the reality is often much more complex.
Yeah, it is.
Many students might be great scrolling through social media, but struggle with more practical tech skills.
Exactly. Yeah, I was actually chatting with somebody the other day about how typing classes, things like I took when I was in high school.
My mama, typing teacher.
These things actually aren't as common as they used to be. And yet kids are still typing today. So why aren't we prioritizing it? I actually think it's because adults are sitting around going, kids are already technologically savvy, so they don't need a typing class. They'll be just fine. But of course, it's the exact opposite. They might be good at typing on an iPhone.
Yeah.
That's not the same as typing on a keyboard.
Such a silly assumption.
Yeah.
I actually joke about all the time. My mom every summer would be like, she'd get out the old typewriter and we'd practice ASDFJKL semicolon. And that's why I can type so fast and so well today and with great accuracy.
Yep. Thank you, Mom.
You know, we really do need to take time to understand who our students are and their actual levels of accessibility, their skill set, their what's the measure of tech savvy.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked about this several times, Gina, but technology, obviously the first question we need to ask is where do we want our students to get? The second question we need to ask is where are they right now? And she was so great at helping us understand that. So, okay, so we're moving towards wrapping up, but of course we got to end talking about practicality. So for anyone listening, whether you're a teacher, school leader, maybe the head of a district, whomever you are, if you've been inspired by what Maisha's been saying about integrating technology, I really wanted her to provide some practical advice for us. How can we effectively bring in new tech without overwhelming ourselves or our students, especially when it comes to this conversation about accessibility?
I would say to my newbies listening that are out there, I would take the approach at looking at technology like a flashlight. You are going into a classroom and your students are going to have moments where things are dull, where things are unclear, they can't find things. So how can you integrate technology in the form of a light, in the form of illumination, and not necessarily the actual learning experience? So I would recommend first embracing, one, that you have hidden areas that you don't know about when it comes to technology. And don't put the pressure on yourself to know those things about technology. A lot of times we psych ourselves out about, I'm the teacher, I should know, I want to give the right answer to my students. Students like when teachers make mistakes because I believe that's where learning happens, when we fumble, when we mess up. So helping you understand that technology does change, but it does not replace the authenticity of who we are as educators. So I would like to introduce a new definition, Andrew, if I can, to AI. And instead of it meaning artificial intelligence, let's suggest that AI stands for authentic individuals. You are authentic. You are a creative being. So introducing technology comes from a person who is creatively made, who is made with what they are wired with as an educator. You have a certain educational style and preference. So let that drive your introduction of technology. And again, it goes back to the beginning of our conversation. Technology is a prop. It's an accessory. When I get my outfit ready, the last thing I'm going to grab, Andrew, are the earrings. And that's going to complete the whole outfit. Or it's a purse, or it's some shoes. So, but I'm still myself. I'm still my authentic self, but I'm just adding something to highlight the area of understanding that my students need. Maybe they don't understand the material, so I need to add some earrings to this lesson. Maybe they don't understand how to use the mouse properly, so maybe I need to add, some highlights or eyeliner to the classroom setting. I'm using makeup. So hopefully you all are understanding the metaphor to this, but really technology is just an accessory, but we are still our authentic selves in the classroom.
Wow, Gina, this has been so insightful. Maisha is incredible. I love all the metaphors she used. We're big metaphor people here at Growing Leaders. They really resonate with me because of all the amazing things. They bring alive the ideas that she is trying to communicate.
Really, they do. And maybe we have a Maisha habitude.
We should.
We might have one out of here. But they added such depth to the conversation. Maisha's passion for teaching truly shines through, whether she was talking about the little ones or those older students who are already dreaming about their futures. Thank you. Thank you, Maisha, for sharing your wisdom and experiences with us today. We truly appreciate the impact that you're making in the lives of all those students. Now, Andrew, I think you know what time it is.
DMI.
What?
DMI. DMI.
That's right, friends. It's time for DMI.
Oh, we are so ridiculous. But DMI, of course, stands for Don't Miss It. Gina and I each like to highlight one key takeaway from today that we believe you should not miss. So, Gina, what's your DMI from today's conversation?
Technology is a costume. It was one of her first metaphors that she shared with us, but I think that's going to stick with me for a while.
Yeah.
The technology should support us, but not it should support our methods, but not dictate them. She said, just to remind you, she said that it's there to enhance the play, not to overshadow the actors. And I think I see this a lot with folks that I work with in the nonprofit world as we're exploring funding and grants and stuff like that. A lot of times there's funding opportunity available and it's like, well, we're going to do this thing because this money's here. Yeah. And that's called mission drift, right? Like you get away from the thing that
you're what
supposed
you can
to do
rather than what you should.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think it's the same thing is like we see the new shiny thing in technology and we think we have to adopt it. We have to have it. We have to do it. And we don't take that thoughtful approach of like, okay, here's how we can use it. Yeah. And it is the costume.
Yep.
We
are schools on a mission, folks. And guess what? The mission has not changed.
Hey, preach. So no, that's what it was for me.
Yeah.
How
great
about you?
Reminder. Great reminder. I think for me, it was another metaphor. Surprise, surprise. I love the PB&J metaphor, but the one I want to go back to is the one she talked about, the safety features of a car, right? You have kids, Gina, one of whom you taught to drive already.
I did.
You would not put that child into a car without teaching them all the things they need to do to keep themselves safe, right? Putting your seatbelt on, checking the rear view mirrors, right? Making sure their seat's adjusted to the right place, all of those things, as well as making sure that you put them in a car that is actually safe, right? they were driving around a car and you found out, half the safety features you would get in a car aren't there. That's a problem, right?
Right.
Same thing with technology. And I think she did such a great job of pointing that out. Let's not worry so much about the technology or the use thereof itself. Let's ask how well we have prepared our kids to utilize the safety features of that technology. And I just thought that was a really great example. She gave us, again, so many metaphors we can use, but that was one that stuck out to me.
Maisha, you are a gift, my friend.
She is a gem.
Yeah. Well, this was so good. We thank all of you, our listeners, for joining us today on this episode of the School on a Mission podcast. But before you hit skip onto your next podcast, we've got a little challenge for you. Grab a pen, a notebook, a sticky note, or even the back of your hand. And we just want you to write down at least one action you're going to take this week. Apply the things that you learned. Maybe it's something you're going to do, something you're going to investigate, something to read more about, or a person you want to meet with. You got it? Perfect. Now DM us with your action step. We can't wait to see what awesome things you're up to. We want to hear all about what you're doing. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and keep leading your school on a mission. The School on a Mission podcast is produced by Growing Leaders, powered by Maxwell Leadership Foundation. You can find out more about Growing Leaders at growingleaders.com. We want to especially thank Maisha Wilder for joining us as a guest in today's episode. This podcast was co-produced by Angelica Oliver and Kara Mallory. To find out more about the School on a Mission podcast, head over to schoolonamissionpodcast.com.